Welcome to the Poetry Podcast. This month's episode is 1,000 Martyrs by Aphra Behn, directed by Caitlyn Oenbrink.
A 1,000 martyrs I have made, all sacrificed to my desire. 1,000 beauties have betrayed that languish in resistless fire. The untamed heart to hand I brought and fixed the wild and wandering thought. I never vowed nor sighed in vain, but both, though false, were well received. The fair are pleased to give us pain, and what they wish is soon believed. And though I talked of wounds and smart, love's pleasures only touched my heart. Alone the glory and the spoil I, always laughing, bore away. The triumphs, without pain or toil, without the heaven of joy. And while I thus at random rove, despise the fools that whine for love.
Thank you so much for listening to this month's episode of the Poetry Podcast. I am thrilled to say that this month, for the first time, I got to work with a collaborator, director, and voiceover artist, Caitlyn Oenbrink. If you want to learn more about Caitlyn Oenbrink, you can go to her website at www.caitlynoenbrink.com. You might have noticed in the last few months I've been allowing ambient noise to seep into the performances of these poems, and that is largely because I had to move during the COVID-19 lockdown, and because I had to pack up my recording equipment, I didn't really have much choice other than to just sort of record wherever I was, and I found myself intrigued by the opportunity to record using ambient sound, and have been experimenting with exploring character within the context of a poem. With my desire to create and explore character within a poem came my desire to bring in a collaborator and a director to explore character, but also creating a world with sound. And so I want to take this opportunity to thank Caitlyn Oenbrink for joining me on this month's episode of the Poetry Podcast. It was an absolute delight to work with her. She brought brilliant creative provocations, insight into character, but also into building the sound of the world. And it was a joy to rehearse this project with her throughout the month. And I hope it is the beginning of a long and fruitful creative relationship. So thank you, Caitlyn. If you have a chance, I highly recommend investigating more about Aphra Behn's life. She was very popular in the late 17th century. Her parentage is unknown, but she had a truly intriguing life, having lived a few years in Suriname, married a Dutch man, but after his death, needing to make her own way in the world, she became a spy for King Charles II. However, King Charles refused to pay her, and so she ended up in debtor's prison and somehow worked her way out as a writer and became a highly proclaimed writer of her time. Her contemporary reputation was primarily based on her scandalous writing of poetry and plays, quite risque, and just a delight to play and read. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks. This episode was brought to you by Imposter Productions.